Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, joined again with my good friend Suzanne Ross, and we're talking about the Sedona Transcendence Retreat coming up September 19th to the 21st, this fall 2024. Suzanne, and we have some great guests joining us today. Who are we talking to today?
Well, today we have Jamie Price and also Sheila Nyes. Jamie Price is a presenter, she's a workshop host, and an outdoor journey guide. I'll let her introduce herself, everything that she does and creates and offers, but she will be sharing the language of light as well as teaching about crystalline soul healing. She lives here in Sedona. Sheila Nyes has been a Sedona tour guide for many, many years out here, involved in all kinds of different things that go on in Sedona. But she will be assisting Lisa Royal Holt in conducting the CE5 Under the Stars on Saturday night. And so that's another thing that Sheila does is she guides the UFO tours. And so her and Lisa actually got together and collaborated on the CE5. So we'll learn more about that. But
Right.
yes, we are. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's some other fantastic speakers at this upcoming conference. Besides Lisa Royal, Matt Kahn will be there, Vincent Jenna, and Tucker with these incredible predictions that she has from the angels. And that was really dramatic when we interviewed her. Kelly Palmatieri, Robin what's his name?
Jelinek? Yeah. And tomorrow
Yes,
we'll
yes,
have Ann Tucker and Robin Jelinek on.
right.
So, yes, please join us. We're so excited. It's only about 5 weeks away now. So, sign up at SedonaTranscendenceRetreat.com. And
Right.
let's get into our discussion today with these beautiful ladies.
Great. Well, Sedona is such a really base for spiritual understanding, and Jamie and Sheila have both been longtime residents along with yourself. So let's talk to them about what's going to be happening in September and why people should be joining us. I think that's really a big part of why we're doing this show, right?
Well,
What do you think? Yeah.
it happens during the fall equinox, right? So I really feel called to do these two events a year, one during the spring equinox, one during the fall equinox, because the veils between interdimensional realms is thin. And since ancient times, spiritual seekers have known this. And so they conduct ceremony, ritual, gathering, right? The spiritual community to come together. And here we're already in the spiraling vortex of Sedona during the equinox portal opening, right? So it's just perfect timing. And this smaller, more intimate retreat, Alan, is really near and dear to my heart. When I started doing retreats here, they were the smaller, more intimate retreats where people can really connect with each other, with the presenters. There's really time for that one-on-one heart connection, soul connection between people. So I love this smaller, more intimate retreat held at the beautiful Global Center for Christ Consciousness that
Right.
is just a sacred sanctuary.
Well, it's great. Yeah, we'll talk to Jamie and Sheila. And I just want to say one more thing about the equinox and being in Sedona. It's a time to bring that power back to ourselves. And sometimes when everything's aligned like that, it's easier to manifest what you want to create in the world. So I think that's why you're drawn to these equinoxes, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and my dear friends here both live in Sedona, so they know all about, having gatherings here in Sedona and the power of the vortex. So, Jamie, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be presenting, offering, doing here at this retreat.
Yeah. Um, hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Price, and I'm really excited about this retreat because what Suzanne has created is something that's more intimate. We're going a little deeper into topics so that you're having experiences. And that's one thing that Sedona, besides its utter beauty, the energy here is such an amplifier. And so, as Alan and Suzanne were already talking about, especially amplifying on the equinox with our group energy and the intensified ascension cycle that we're in at this time anyway, this is really exciting. So I will be going deeper into some experiences with light language, both at the event and in my outdoor journey, where we're going to connect with light language, with the elementals, and deepen that experience with Gaia, all the fairy support, and of course, our galactic friends. And then I'm also going to do a workshop because this is such an intensified time of our ascension. I want to go a little deeper into part of the cycles that we're in now, and light language as something that's a form of light communication. That's something that is part of who we are, and we deal with that in a lot of different ways. And another one of those ways is crystalline soul healing, which was a template, a Lyran template modality that my guides taught me over many years and many years ago, that I share with others. So we're going to go a little deeper into that and how our ascension cycle can be amplified with more of that awareness and some experiences with that, to really help us move our energy fields in a way that are appropriate to help us through this time of such drastic change. I mean, we were just talking before the call about how intense this energy has felt, and in really positive ways. And of course, we also see some of the really challenging ways that that's happening. But when we gather as groups, as those that are focused on our loving intention, service to others, and really shifting the human experience in positive ways, that absolutely amplifies not only our personal experience so that we can continue embodying that even beyond the Sedona retreat, but to put that energy into the field here so that we're all immersed in that instead of so much chaos, even though chaos is a precursor to all change. It doesn't have to be a big negative, even though there is a lot of negatives going on in the world. That's what we do with our positive intent. And as we connect in those collective levels with our cosmic support, that really changes the energy here overall. So I am thoroughly excited about this retreat.
Great. That is so well said.
Beautifully said. Yeah.
And thank you for everyone who's coming and being a part of this, because it is such a strange time we're in, right? I mean, we certainly
Absolutely.
are going into new territory. Thanks, Jamie. We'll come back to you. Suzanne, you want to introduce Sheila?
Yes, I've known Sheila for a few years now, and I've seen her at different events and such. I used to run into her out at Peace Park when I was guiding a tour, and she'd be guiding a tour, like doing the medicine wheel ceremony or something. So, yeah, she's a soul sister here in Sedona, and yes, she's been guiding tours for many years. So, welcome, Sheila. Thank you so much for assisting with the CE5 and just being part of our retreat.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. What I will say is I was very fortunate because I started running psychic fairs in New York, and I ran them for 16 years. I was very fortunate. One of my psychics became famous, if you're familiar with John Edward. And it's the kind of thing where I've worked with a lot of luminaries in the metaphysical field. But in 1980, I was connected with a person named Timothy Green Beckley. And he actually wanted to be a vendor at my psychic fairs. And he said that he sold UFO magazines. Well, in 1980, I really didn't believe in UFOs, but it's a type of situation where he really opened my mind up because he gave me a book. And as soon as I read that book, I was really sort of gung-ho. I have to know every single thing about UFOs that there are out there in the world. So I actually have been in this field now for 44 years. I became the Florida director of the National Investigations Committee on UFOs. And basically, I've been just learning through the years, going to all these conferences. And then I started lecturing recently myself because I found out that things that I learned from the past are not really being featured now from 44 years ago. So what I will say is with people like Lisa Royal Holt. She is just so amazing, and I'm so blessed to be able to assist her because I know that she's going to be doing an amazing channeling, and I will be there to help out and make sure everybody's comfortable and make sure that all answers that need to be answered will be answered. So thank you for inviting me to be part of this. I know everyone's going to have an amazing time.
Right.
Well,
I'm
Sheila, I
interested.
know that you've done quite a few UFO tours here. Can you tell us about some of the experiences you've had during these
Oh,
UFO
yeah. No,
tours?
we see UFOs every night. I actually guarantee seeing UFOs. My company is called Best Tours of Sedona, and I will tell you that when it comes to UFOs, um, we probably see between 30 to 100 a night.
Wow.
And then we have some areas in Sedona where some ships will actually land on our mountains. So there's a lot of things going on. But I've seen so many things. I've seen a mothership have scout ships come flying out of it. I've actually seen a ship split apart and go in 4 different directions. I have seen ships go, let's say, 1,000 miles an hour up in the air and 3,000 miles an hour to the east or the west. I've had ships actually shine lights on me. We see a lot of craziness around here.
Right. I saw a ship, a triangular ship in Sedona. When you use night vision goggles, right?
That's correct.
I was looking at this thing that was triangle. As I was looking at it, it went from pointing up to pointing down just when I was looking at it. Isn't that odd?
That is very odd. It is
I
very odd.
know. But
But it's fun when you see something like that. You know for sure it's not a
I said,
regular
wow.
airplane.
Even though I wrote the book on it, I said, wow, there really is stuff out there. I said, this is real. And but you said something, Sheila, like you heard stuff years ago that people aren't talking about now. What do you mean? Which kind of things? And move your camera down a little bit so you're not
Okay.
okay, good. Good.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah,
it turns out, and I would have had better lighting. I thought this was going to be only audio. So live and learn. But no, what I was going to say, actually, it's not that people don't talk about things, but I will say it's amazing now how I have come from the 1980s where no one would speak to me in my neighborhood because I believed in UFOs to now where people are starting to open up. And I think it's really fabulous that we are now in a situation where people are waking up to the fact that we do have our space brothers out there. And
right,
unfortunately, our government has been blocking us through the years from connecting with them. But we have a lot of wonderful beings outside of our planet, and many of them are benevolent and here to help us. And once we get connected, and I really feel that's coming up soon, then we are going to be light years ahead of where we are now.
right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Right. Do you get that, Jamie? Where are you getting your channelings and transmissions?
I do. I get that this is this is truly like a turning point, and most especially where our biomechanism is going through a lot of changes to be able to facilitate that contact more easily. Something that my guides, Ariane, the Lyran Council of Time, have been talking about probably for about 2 years now is what they call, very simplified, the tri-wave brain flow, where we're having an amplification not just of the normal right-left connection, which has always been there, and this flow has always been there, but it's really amplifying to move from the back of the head to the front. And then what that's creating is more of an availability for us to be able to connect into those higher dimensions, to connect into communication or experiences, especially with the tri-wave brain flow. So the bi-wave brain flow creates that capability for us to be able to tap in, but the tri-wave amplifies that, or for lack of a better term, solidifies it. It's like creating a container for more experiential aspects of that so that we can not just have a fleeting experience, but more detailed and more lasting experiences. So it's really an exciting time. And of course, these occur over periods of time, but especially when we gather or we go through healing processes or connection events, that amplifies it and just really upgrades us very quickly.
Well, from your guides, do you have any predictions for the upcoming, well, conference, but also for the next year? I mean, do you get those kind of downloads?
They don't give me those kinds of downloads like this is going to happen at that certain time. And I'm trying to think if they've brought anything recently. Not really. No. And I don't often ask because it's not my lane. And I have asked before, and sometimes they certainly do give me information, but they are much more focused on changing our biotechnology from us doing our meditation and healing work, how we're treating our bodies, connecting with other people and learning so that we're more available for it.
Wow. Well, so I was also going to ask Sheila, but jump in when you want, Suzanne. What's the best way to call in ET? I mean, you've been leading tours, and is there, I mean, people have, Stephen Greer has his way, but what's the best, most effective way for meeting these beings on their playing field?
Well, what I do is before I go on a tour, every night I actually set an intention to have a lot of ships come in. I don't do any formal, I guess formal CE5 kind of things. But what I will say is this. Through the years, I found out that it really depends on the people I have on my tour. People from other planets can tell miles away the energy and the spiritual level of each being. And I will tell you, there are times when I have, I'll call them the right people who are on a high spiritual level. And that's when our space brothers will respond more often. Now, what they will do is they will do what's called power up their ship, which simply means they'll brighten up their ship. And that's their way of saying high five down there, because they really do want to connect with us. I will tell you that our space brothers have been wanting to connect with us for a long time, but they knew that the people on our planet were not aware of them. Therefore, they've never landed in mass. And I don't know if people are all familiar with the good old Orson Welles and the War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
But for people who are out there who do not know, in 1937 on Halloween, October 31st of 1937, Orson Welles was a very well-respected radio announcer. And he decided just for fun, he would make believe that aliens had landed that night. At the beginning of his broadcast, he actually said, people, guess what? This is just for fun. It's not true, but it happens to be Halloween. So bottom line, this is just for fun. Well, guess what? People tuned in later. And he was so well respected, they really thought he was telling the truth. And people actually jumped out of windows committing suicide. So
Right.
that's one of the reasons why our space brothers have not landed in mass. They did not actually want any kind of chaos or hysteria over them landing. And by the way, Orson Welles used to live in Sedona, and my friend bought his house.
I didn't know that. Where was this house? What street in Sedona was this?
I don't know the street. I know sort of how to drive there, but it's by Cathedral Rock, off of
Oh,
179.
wow. But I wanted to bring up to Suzanne the point you made, because we're going to be coming from the Transcendence retreat, so people will be at a certain level of vibration, right, Suzanne?
Right. And Lisa Royal Holt actually has her own version of a CE5 that was downloaded to her from her galactic guide, Sasha. So this is sort of Sasha's version of a CE5. But as you know, it is more about going into a deep meditative state with the intention of telepathically communicating and connecting with the galactics that appear. And so when I say appear, it's more of a telepathic transmission that each individual will experience for themselves. And maybe Lisa will, you know, channel through a collective experience of connecting to a certain star race, but it's not so much, and maybe we'll take time. I know Sheila yesterday met with Lisa, so, you know, the two of them collaborate on how this will unfold, but it's less of a, look, there's a craft in the sky, than it is, let's go into meditation and try to telepathically connect with the star races who show up, and then them transmitting messages for us individually or as a group.
Right. And you get
Yeah.
that feel, Jamie, do you tune in when these beings show up? Are you like, what
I
happens?
I do, and I've actually been on one of Lisa's CE5 events many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, and I had a fabulous experience. When we were prepping and she was doing some things, we had a light on, we were in the middle of the desert. There was a praying mantis that came to represent the mantoid beings. And I started doing light language, and the praying mantis crawled up my body, sat on top of my head while I was doing the light language. So that was so much fun. And that's actually happened twice in my life.
Wow.
And what happened during that, she did some wonderful channeling. So I learned, and it was a great experience. But when we went into the meditation, I went unconscious, which is very rare for me. I've only gone unconscious a couple of times in my life. And, for better or for worse, because part of me is like, whoa, I know that was intense. But the other part of me is like, I wish I could remember it. But as I was coming to, which is when you realize you were unconscious, I could see the beings just barely. And it's like they were opening a door for me to leave. And so I was like, oh, at least I got that, but I didn't get a conscious message.
Well, people do shift consciousnesses when these beings appear. That's been my experience. So, yeah, everyone watching, come to Sedona to be part of the Transcendence retreat. And I think there's still a few spaces left for the CE5. And I
Yeah.
think that will be really fun because, I think people who come to this conference will be at a high vibration. So I expect visitors. I mean, I can't guarantee, but
I'm sure with Sheila and Lisa both there, along with the high vibe of the group and the collective intention, that will definitely. And I hope that it's a combination of seeing craft in the sky and meditatively, telepathically connecting, right, Sheila?
Yes. And again, because the energy of the group is going to be really high up there, I do expect a lot of connections going on that evening.
Great, great, great. And how many, do you have enough night vision goggles? Because that really amplifies the visibility like 1,000 times, right? I mean, not enough, but you have a bunch, right?
Right. I have a bunch of night vision goggles.
And yeah, first time I looked through night vision goggles, wow, there were so many more stars and craft and vehicles you can see, and Sedona is such a hot spot for these vehicles to keep flying over back and forth. Like I was driving up 89A once, and there was this light just went over our car. It looked like it could have been a meteor, but it was right over our car and left this trail behind me. Me and the person I was sitting with in the car is like, what was that? That was pretty odd. So, Suzanne, you have this incredible retreat with these great speakers, a CE5 scheduled, and What else? You have workshops. Talk about some of the other things for the weekend that are coming up. Yes.
Yes. And so we always like to mix it up between the presentation, sound journey performances, outdoor journeys and workshops. So the presenters themselves go out onto the land with the guests who've signed up to be on their particular journey. And so it came to me long ago, if you're going to have a retreat in Sedona, you got to get out into the Red Rocks, right? We're in Sedona after all. So I've ever since made sure that our guests get a special journey out into the Sedona vortex. And there's these breathtaking views and beautiful Red Rock sites. So that's really fun. And then at the beautiful Global Center for Christ Consciousness, we have an enclosed workshop room, and in the main stage, we hold another workshop simultaneously. So there's a lot of different workshops to sign up for. This particular retreat is about psychics, channelers, and mediums demonstrating their gifts and teaching their techniques. So like yourself, Alan, teaching remote viewing, Jamie teaching crystalline soul healing, and all of these other practitioners teaching these techniques to tune in interdimensionally. So that's really what the workshops are about. So yes, Alan, share about your remote viewing workshop.
Well, thank you for that invitation. I think remote viewing and making contact are very much related because the cosmos is really made of consciousness. And consciousness is not contained locally in our heads, in our brains. It's received by the brain and transmitted by the brain. It's like that's the local, but it's actually in the field. So if consciousness is not local to the body, then it's everywhere. And then whatever these ETs or whatever these beings, wherever they're from, they're using the same facility we're using of consciousness. So I teach remote viewing to access this field of consciousness, first to see what's non-locally. So we look at targets. I say, okay, someone I know is in this location. Can you see it? And then we go off planet. This is what my courses have been, off planet, for making contact with remote viewing. So we might do some of that. Once you develop the skill and the awareness that you have these extrasensory perceptions, not to be cliche, but these other metacognitions, that's a better word for it, that you have local senses and you have non-local senses. So everyone has that. I just love seeing people get these targets that are non-local and say, wow, how did they do it? And it's like they're bringing in another level of awareness. So everyone coming to this workshop I'm doing at the Sedona Transcendence Retreat will have an experience of their consciousness being non-local. And once that's really developed, then you can make contact. That's the next level, wherever you are. But just the awareness that your consciousness is not contained in the body is sort of miraculous. But it's also something the CIA and the Stanford Research Institute has been proving for 50 years. So that's a little taste, but wake up to how infinite you are. That's really the subtext of this workshop. So thank you for that little moment of promotion. And I'm excited. I love teaching people that they are non-local, and it's like pulling the blindfolds off their eyes. It's like, wow. And thanks, Suzanne. It's going to be really great. And we could do that also when we're out in the field with Sheila and Lisa. We could start to send our consciousness out there, which is what Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is. We're making contact with them, a CE5, instead of their coming to us. We're presenting ourselves to these presences with a high vibration, and they match that high vibration. What I've noticed is that the phenomena, people are calling the UFO thing, the phenomena is reflective of our states. It really is. If you come out with negativity, you might get negativity. Or if you come out with high vibe, you're going to get that. So we're experimenting with consciousness at all these beautiful retreats that you're doing, Suzanne. We're taking people to the next level of who they are. So that's...
Oh, thank you. There are sirens, and so my dog's going to start howling. So I'm going to put it on mute for a second. So
right.
take it from me just for a minute.
Yeah, no, Jamie, talk about the workshops you're going to be doing there.
Yeah. So I love how these all have threads as well, because this is such a time where we're getting deeper into the knowledge of things that are natural to us, but we just haven't necessarily had the support throughout our entire lives to be open to these kind of extra experiences. So, what I'll be doing out on the land is we'll be connecting with the elementals with light language and directly communicating with them, directly receiving communication. And that's really fun because not only are we in gorgeous Sedona, nature itself is already very amplifying and opening for our energy fields. And then when you add the vortex energy and our own intentions, the flow of energy can really amplify. And so really connecting those experiences of, even if you're not doing light language, that the communication is very constant. And then in my workshop, I'm going to be taking us through some deeper exercises to work the muscles of connecting on a cosmic level. So especially if you're doing the CE5, if you're doing the remote viewing, these are all kind of weaving in to create more amplification of our natural skills. So we're going to be going through some exercises that are helping us to amplify that cosmic connection. And that's something that crystalline soul healing as an energy healing modality, it's about that communication and really understanding our place within universal law through experience, so that we become it's not just an idea, it's an experience, just like what Alan is doing and what Suzanne and Lisa are doing, that you're having that experience of things that it's time. The more we're using that awareness and that connection, that non-locality that we all naturally have, the more it creates a broader coherence in our energy field. And then as we're always constantly putting information into the field of life on earth, our information is amplified, and then that filters in, and everyone is immersed more in that rather than more of the chaos and focus on the physical. So these are all just kind of weaving experiences to create more amplification within.
Right. So in your light language workshop, do you just what do you do? Do people get activated by the frequencies, or what happens exactly to people?
So some may be activated with their own light language. It's something that we can all do. So for some, it's that fast. Others, even if it's not coming out, because one thing that is part of light language, it's not the whole thing, but part of it is an externalization. And that's what it's here to teach us, is the things that we associate with communication, like I'm talking to you, or I can sing a song, or write something, or use hand signals, and you know what I'm talking about. We associate that with communication, and for us to be able to do that on a multidimensional level, that's what light language is here for. So some people will get automatically activated. Some will receive the energies, and that will create changes no matter what. But that potential to do light language is there for all of us. No matter what, you're going to be receiving some powerful activations during that time.
Great. And I know, Sheila, you love that stuff too. That's why you're always at the expos. And
Yes.
but so what do you say to prepare for? I mean, we'll go to Jamie's workshop. We'll be with there and lots of other people. But how else can we prepare for the CE5 calling in these craft?
Well, what I also do is I've been very fortunate because I was part of Dr. Frank Strange's inner circle, and he was in direct communication with Valthar from Venus. So I was given protection prayers. So actually, another thing that I do right before going out there is I give protection prayers that were given to him again by Val Thaw from Venus. And so not only do I welcome ships to connect with us, but I also protect everybody who's going to be on the tour as well.
Oh, well, who was Frank Strange? I've heard that name,
Okay.
but
So basically, what it is Dr. Frank Stranges was a person who wrote a book called Saucerama many years ago. And Val Thaw actually is an emissary from Venus to help us here on planet Earth. And he spoke with our government and tried to actually prevent us from having any nuclear war. After he had dealt with our government for a while, he thought he really wanted to meet someone on our planet who was a spiritual being who also was a believer in UFOs. And because Dr. Frank Stranges had written a book on UFOs and he was in charge of a religious organization, Val Thaw actually connected with him, and he wrote the book Stranger at the Pentagon on behalf of Val Thaw. And Val Thaw, through the years, had given him a lot of information, a lot of insider information. He also invited Dr. Stranges to Venus a couple of times. He invited him to join him with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Dr. Stranges met with people from other places. I know well, okay, it looks like you're
oh,
going
did you
to.
actually meet him? Were you actually in the same room with
Now, in
Frank?
other words, I've never met Val Thaw, but through Dr. Stranges, after meeting with Val Thaw for a long time, asked Val, can I share all the information that you've shared with me with other people? And Val Thaw said, 90% of it, yes, but there are certain things I don't want you to share with anyone that I don't approve. I will allow you to have an inner circle of people. So these people I will have to approve, and then you can invite them to private meetings and you can share information with them. So fortunately, I was approved to be part of the inner circle that Dr. Stranges was in charge of. So I was able to get special prayers of protection that were given to him from Val Thaw.
Can you share them at the retreat, maybe, or here,
Yeah,
or at the
that's
retreat?
fine.
You can. You can
Yes,
share them.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Is
One more question. What was Frank Strange like? So he went to Venus. He actually went there, and I
Yes, he went to Venus, and he was also again at the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which Val Thaw basically was in charge of. Um, he talks about one incident that I always thought was really cute, and this is what it was when Dr. Stranges, for the first time, met people from other planets because actually people from other planets involved in the Galactic Federation of Worlds, they meet twice a year and they share new technologies, different information. And because Dr. Stranges was invited for the first time, he was really excited. And he, for the first time, saw a lot of people who did not look like us. By the way, I will just tell people out there that even if someone doesn't look like us, it doesn't mean that they're not great people. So Dr. Stranges, actually, the first time he went to the Galactic Federation of Worlds gathering, he actually saw a cyclops. Now, that really surprised him, and he thought to himself, oh my God, this guy looks weird. He forgot that people from other planets are telepathic. So the Cyclops walked up to him and said, well, you know what? You sort of look weird to me.
I mean, I don't want to be. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so I was going to say that so Dr. Stranges was allowed to get a lot of insider information. Venus, people can't live on the planet. It's 850 degrees Fahrenheit. We complain when it's 100 degrees out. So they live inside of their planet. So what I will say is that fortunately, Val Thaw took Dr. Stranges around in his ship to various places And I was fortunate to get some of the insider information being part of his inner circle group.
I don't want to be a skeptic or anything because I like this stuff, but does he have any pictures of Venus that he could show us?
Oh, I think there's pictures of Valthor, isn't there?
Is
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Here
Yeah.
on Earth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pictures of Alpha I actually always keep in my car, because actually in 1958, Val Thaw was in Highbridge, New Jersey at a UFO meeting at the place of Howard Menger, who had a wife who was from Venus. And basically, there was a person, August C. Roberts, who was a photographer. He was young at the time, and he took pictures of Val Thaw and 3 other people who Val was with who were from Venus. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
those photos have been circulating and I have them.
Maybe it's time to release my interview with that guy, Raymond Keller. Do you know Raymond Keller?
Yes, I do. Yes, Andrew Raymond. No, well, it's Raymond Andrew Keller II.
Yes. Yeah. He
Cosmic
talked to-
Ray.
He
Cosmic Ray.
talked
right.
to me for
And
2
I-
hours about his trip to Venus. I wasn't sure when I wanted to release it, but maybe I'll put it out now that we've brought up the Venus thing.
Well, I sponsored him a year ago. He came to Sedona and I promoted him, and we had a conference in the village of Oak Creek. So I have, I think, every single one of his publications.
Well, it makes sense that people are living inside the planet. I think that's actually where the Lemurians are, here inside the hollows of the earth, huge caverns. There's a civilization. And actually, some of the UFOs that come out are inner earth ships. I don't think
Yes.
that's the way out. I think that's that's believable for me. I don't know. I'd love to meet a Venusian, just to but I think there's life everywhere in the universe, so it's not that unusual. Do you get anything about that, Jamie?
It's awesome that the Venusians are coming up more and more, because I remember some of the older stories, like is it Olmec, something like that. They really have a lot more communication with us than we generally focus on. And their energy is so helpful for us because they're so clear about the ascension journey and getting through these deeper cycles that we're just coming out of. So I love their energy, and I love that that's coming forward even more, because I think that's really helpful for us.
Great. Well, Suzanne, Jamie mentioned the ascension journey. I think the Transcendence retreat helps line people up for the Ascension retreat that happens in March. And we have a fantastic Ascension retreat scheduled. I don't know if you want to mention that, or you want to just focus on September. But I'm
Yeah,
excited
I mean, we do definitely have a tremendous conference happening. If you want to give me part of the screen, I can show
Yeah.
the flyer here,
Yes,
but
show the flyer.
yeah.
Yes.
We do, and I'm very excited about who's joining us. Of course, we have our good friend Darryl Anka, Billy Carson, Robert Edward Grant for the first time, and Adam Apollo. I'm excited about him joining us. Our dear friend William Henry and Sarah Breskman Cosme for the first time, as well as Aaron Apke. Of course, there you are, Alan, and Mark Anthony, and this incredible musician, Kristen Hoffman. Our friend Suzanne Wilson's coming back, Vivian Chavot, Amanda Romania, Lightstar, and Stands with Bear. They're right here in Sedona and have been at my retreats from when I very first started offering them 10 years ago. So as you can see, this is our 10th anniversary celebration, because I had my first retreat in Sedona in 2015. So 2025 will be our 10th year anniversary. We're making it a really spectacular celebration, and you can buy your tickets now at SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. So thanks for mentioning that, Alan. Of course, you'll co-host with me like you always do.
No, I'm really excited about September, and I think September will open the doors to Sedona and the kind of shift in frequency that's happening, and then in March of 2025, that'll be a full-on blast off that we're going to be doing. So, Suzanne, I know it's a lot of work, Suzanne, and you are amazing putting your time and energy. And it's not like, you're doing it not to like make a lot of money. You're doing it because you believe in this, and and we want people there, just to come together as community. That's right, Sheila. That's why we go to the Conscious Life Expo, because that's where our community gathers and we get to see everyone. And the same thing about the events that Suzanne is doing. That's like not just the speakers, it's everyone there contributes to the vibrational frequencies. So I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you. Any final words for this program, Jamie, from you?
Oh, I'm just looking forward to seeing everyone there. That's really is the special part, is we get to gather together. We're immersed in Sedona. We're immersed in our unity energy of wanting to not only improve our own lives, but the ripple effect that happens with that as we all amplify our ascension. It's so special and so necessary and so rejuvenating. It sustains you for such a long time after them.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And what about you, Sheila? Anything?
I will tell you that Lisa Royal Holt is absolutely amazing, a very humble, sweet, wonderful person. And a lot of people think seeing is believing. And bottom line, when people come, I know that they will see a lot and become believers.
Believers of what? Oh,
Right, of what's
The
going on.
phenomenon.
Oh, well, when you see it, there's no longer about belief, it's about knowing. I mean, seeing
Right,
the
exactly.
craft at night show up. It's like some people say, it's not about do you believe in UFOs? It's like, no, it's I know. It's like you can go beyond belief, as George Noory would say. So that and Suzanne, any final words from you for today?
Yes, well, we just hope that those who are watching feel inspired to join us and just to, amplify what both Jamie and Sheila are saying. Yes, when we gather together as a spiritual community, we really do activate each other. And then our collective energy, we transmit that out into the ley lines of the planet, out into the galaxy. So we do these global impact meditations, but we also do like galactic guided journeys where our intention is to spread our love and light, to transmit our high vibrational frequencies throughout the ley lines of the earth and throughout all the constellations in the cosmos. So yes, it's not just about our local community, it's about like spreading the love and light far and wide. So yeah, I hope that you'll join us, Sedona Transcendence Retreat.com, and we'll see you in Sedona.
Definitely see you in Sedona. Tomorrow we have, you mentioned it earlier, who we interviewing tomorrow?
Ann Tucker, who channels the angels, and she's
Oh.
just been blowing up YouTube, right, with all of these angelic predictions about the Great Rift and all of these fascinating things that are coming. And then we have Robin Jelinek, who channels Athena. And her website's Athena in Truth. And both of those interviews we did a few weeks ago with them actually channeling were really mind-blowing. So it's going to be great to have them on together.
Yes. Oh, Ann Tucker. I was really impressed with Ann and her prediction. You'll love her too, Jamie and Sheila and everyone watching. Listen tomorrow. It's we're doing it at 4:30.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Join us at this channel, subscribe, take out a super chat, join us here, and of course in Sedona in September. So thanks again, Suzanne. I'll see you. And we'll talk tomorrow. Let's talk tomorrow before our call about everything else. Okay?
Okay. Love you.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thank you. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sheila.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone. Thank you.